Hey guys, what's up? It's Anthony. I'm here to do something a little bit different, something that I haven't thought of until recently to do. This came from a conversation that me and my friend Chris were talking about, and I thought about doing a tier list for all of Robert Rodriguez's kids movies. Now, I just watched the last two for this list. This video was originally actually going to be shorter, but I wanted to watch his last two kid films, so that's what we're going to do. So, what we have here, can't tell with the mouse, I don't know why this camera's kind of weird with brightness, but anyway. So, you know what? Let's go in order for this. Da, 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 da. Come on. There we go. So, we're doing a ranking, as you can see with the mouse. We got S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, or D tier. Now, in my opinion, S tier is basically like it's an amazing film. You need to watch it. It's absolutely something you have to see once in your life, or many times in your life, actually. A tier, means to me it was really good, but not amazing. But it was really good. B tier, it was okay, or it was good. C tier was like eh, and D tier would be I didn't really care for it. So, I think, how should we do this? Let's go by first to most recent film. Alright, Spy Kids 1. Where does Spy Kids 1 go in the tiers? It was his Robert Rodriguez's first kid film. Basically, he wanted to do like sort of a James Bond with kids sort of thing, and it really works. I think it's a very well done film. A lot of the comedy is, some of it's juvenile, some of the CGI is very eh. I mean, it was 2001, so where I would put. I'd put an A tier for now, but that could change. But Spy Kids, the first one, I have memories of it. I watched it with some friends of mine. We always had the VHS, and we would always watch it here. I didn't own it until many years later. So, yeah. I think A tier is where it's going to stay. Spy Kids 2. My favorite Spy Kids. And there's a couple reasons why. It feels like the most adventurous. It feels like they took from what the first film did and made it so much better. I remember watching this one the most. I remember having this on DVD, and me and my brother would watch it in the car all the time. And to me, it's one of those cases where if you want to know how to do a sequel, Spy Kids 2 is how you do it. And the twist villain was really cool too. I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah. Without a doubt, my favorite Robert Rodriguez kid film, Spy Kids 2. Top notch. Alright. And then you get Spy Kids 3, which, of all the three main ones, is probably my least favorite of the three, but as a whole, it's probably my third favorite. But I really love Spy Kids too. It's like Carmen's not in the film for the most part. Like she is in the film, but we get to it much later. Uh, and I like the CGI. You would actually they it was kind of cool. I like the whole video game thing. I really, really wish that the video game was the actual game. There were two of them, one on the PC and one on the Game Boy Advance. I really wish they could have done so much more with it, you know? Because, you know, it's like takes place in an entire video game. Like, they could have easily made a game for like GameCube, PS2, and all that. But as far as where this goes, A tier, without a doubt. Really good, really good. And the 3D, I remember also watched this film. I rented it a long time ago. I rented it in 3D because that was the whole thing at the time. You know, it's like, oh, we got 3D and all this. And that would continue on with the next film, which is Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Now, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, to me, was interesting. It came out during the time, because I remember everyone was kind of like over Spy Kids, you know, it was like, oh, we already had 3 of them in 3 years, you know. So what's Robert Rodriguez gonna do now? And then he makes this film, which was originally an idea from one of his kids. And it definitely shows. As a kid, I really, really liked it more than I do now. But I still really do like it. I mean, it was one of the first films with Taylor Lautner pre, you know, Twilight. And that was the first time I had ever heard of him. And they really promoted this movie so much. Like, unbelievably so. So, yeah. So, as far as the rankings go, where does this go in? A or B? Because I don't love it as much as Spy Kids 3, the Spy Kids films, but I like it more than some of the films we're going to talk about. You know what? I'll put an A. But, okay, light, very heavy B, light A. How about that? And then we have, yeah, you know what? Heavy B. It's good, but in very good. But it's like lower than Spy Kids 3. You know what? Yeah, you know what? Screw it. It's an A. All right, now let's go to shorts. I hadn't seen this film until probably a couple years ago. You know, and I really, really, it was kind of one of those movies that was like very, sort of went past my radar. Because it was like, oh, from the director of Spy Kids. And I was like, I kind of want another Spy Kids film. I didn't realize that some of the actors were too old for being in Spy Kids by this point. But let's just play along. Anyway, Shorts was really good. I bought it on Blu-ray actually recently because the DVD, for whatever reason, I did a review of this not that long ago. The DVD is not that good quality, but the Blu-ray is really good quality. I don't know why. But Shorts as a whole, you know, it definitely feels like the black sheep of Robert Rodriguez films. And I've mentioned that, I think, before. Just for the fact that it's so different than what Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl were. Like it's got that science fiction-y sort of like fantasy sort of thing, but it's not that like extremely deep like it was in like Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Like Shark Boy and Lava Girl was very deep with the dreams, and it's like, oh, like the story happened mostly in the dream and all that. And Shorts was sort of like, okay, let's kind of take back the deepness, but make it as fun. And I really like this film. So I'm going to put an A. It's behind Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Alright, Spy Kids 4. Spy Kids 4, it was another one I hadn't seen till like maybe like 4 years ago. It was a new Spy Kids with different kids, as usual, with preteen. I think they were like in preteens or whatever. It definitely felt. I remember when it came out too, and I remember not being that interested in it. But, and this might be sort of a spoiler, like they have some cameos in the movie that really go back from the early Spy Kids films that Spy Kids fans would appreciate. And I also remember, like, it had like a sort of like I think the odorama or whatever thing, like you could like scratch and sniff. I think this is one of the films that did that in recent years, other than like Rugrats Go Wild. And there are a lot of moments in this movie that really did make me laugh, and I know people consider this film to be one of the worst. It's definitely not. No, actually it is my least favorite. But with that being said, it's still fine. It's got its own place. It's worth watching at least once for sure. So this movie goes into B tier. Only for the fact that it's viewable at least once. All right, here we go. Then we get to We Can Be Heroes. I watched this one for the first time last night, and it was underwhelming, gotta say. It was promoted as being like sort of and I felt like some of the promotion kind of did this movie wrong, because it made it seem like, oh, it's going to be like a direct sequel to Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It was like, oh, it's Shark Boy and Lava Girl 2. And while Shark Boy and Lava Girl, well, minus Taylor Lautner, he was replaced. He doesn't even have any lines in the film. Lava Girls comes back, and of course they have a kid. Other than that, they really don't take too much from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It's really mainly its own thing. It just takes place in the Shark Boy and Lava Girl universe. Like, I think what Robert Rodriguez was trying to do with this one was, the Marvel universe, and he wanted to make where all of his movies and all these characters take place within the same universe. And I do believe that's actually true with Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I could be wrong, and maybe I'm just it's like a theory or whatever. But yeah, of all the films, I will say right now that this is, without a doubt, my least favorite of all these films. It's not the worst thing ever, but I certainly wouldn't. It's just fine, There were some things I kind of dug about it, but it was just kind of like fine. But yeah, definitely lower D tier without a doubt. Like, it's definitely of all of them, like I said, my least favorite. But I did watch it, and I guess it's on Netflix. You can watch it like once. just so you can say, oh, I watched all the Robert Rodriguez kids movies, like I did. And then we get to the most recent one. Spy Kids 5 Armageddon. And right off the bat, this movie was so much better than 4. Or, it wasn't, okay, it wasn't so much better. It was better, but it was still not, you know, like Spy Kids 1 and 3. I could tell they were trying to do another thing with, like, Spy Kids 3D, so it was like sort of like Spy Kids 3D meets Jumanji. I could tell they had some influences from Jumanji in this, along with the third Spy Kids movie. This came out, I believe, last year. The kids did a really good job. I really liked Justin, or what's his name? The guy's name from who was in Shazam, and he was also in Chuck. He played the dad. He did a really good job. He was very entertaining. I really like him. I, for one, would like to see a sequel to this with these kids to kind of see what they do with it. Because they definitely have chemistry. I think the story, like the CGI is much better improved, I'll say that. But overall, it's much better than... Yeah, you know what? That goes back. It's better than Spy Kids 4, so it goes from Spy Kids 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, and 2. And that's really where my list stands. So in S tier we have Spy Kids 2, which is having a brain fart, excuse me, which makes sense. And then we get, you know what? I'm going to put Spy Kids 1 in S tier. I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? That deserves S tier as well. But it's still my second favorite. And then we get Spy Kids 3D, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and Shorts in A tier, which I think are all fair. And then we have Spy Kids Armageddon and Spy Kids 4 in B tier. And D tier, which is of course, We Can Be Heroes. Not to say that We Can Be Heroes was a terrible movie. It wasn't. But there was just so much missing and just so many missed opportunities. It was just fine. It was alright, you know. Like, you're better off just kind of like... It's like watching once and that's it. So, anyway, I think this video has gone far enough, or long enough. Let me know what your rankings would be for Spy Kids, and yeah, I think this was really well done. This was a lot of fun. Let me know if you want to see any more tier lists in the future. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that is. Bye.